Vipassana is a technique which consists of sitting down, closing your eyes, and observing your breathing. Breathing must be natural, and you simply have to observe it. That is it. You do not have to do anything else. You will sit and watch your breath with your eyes closed. The rhythm of breathing varies according to the action we carry out and the psychological state in which we find ourselves. So, if we run, our breathing will be faster and deeper, as we physically need to supply our body with a huge amount of oxygen. There are meditation techniques that uses running to vary the rhythm of the breath, while when we are at rest, sitting comfortably on the sofa, our breathing will become very quiet, almost imperceptible. This is because the body is not consuming a large amount of oxygen. The psychological state has a great influence on our breathing rhythm, exactly as it happens physically. When we are angry, our breathing will have a rhythm. If we are happy, our breathing will have its own rhythm. If we are sexually aroused, our breathing will change again. Meditation has its own breathing rhythm, and so on. But the reverse is also true. If we alter our breathing, our psychological state will also change. It is now well-known fact that if we are in a state of anger, therapists teach us to breathe deeply for 5 times. Thanks to this deep breathing, the psychological situation changes. For example, if a person has problems with anger, he is taught to breathe deeply whenever he is in this mood. But unfortunately, it does not always work, because when a person is angry, they will hardly remember to breathe deeply. This is because when a person is angry, he completely forgets about himself. Only anger exists. There is no distance between the anger and the person being angry. That is why, when people are angry, they take an action that they will later regret. If you are feeling sexually aroused, you can vary your breathing rhythm, and this will reduce your sexual arousal, both psychologically and physically. Changing the rhythm of our breathing to make our psychological or physical situation change is not something a meditator should do. He can use this trick only when he cannot be an observer. A meditator must observe whatever happens to him. When he feels sexual, he must observe his sexuality. If he is angry, he must observe his anger. If she is happy, she must observe her happiness. If a meditator manages to remain an observer without identifying himself with what is happening to him, both psychologically and physically, he realizes that the psychological state in which he finds himself will change after some time. For example, if he finds himself angry, a meditator will observe his anger and find that it will disappear sooner or later in the same way he had arisen. Observation is not repression, but the difference is subtle. In observation, we observe the situation as if it were happening to someone else. We do not distract the mind by making the mind think of something else, or by imposing psychological image on the mind, or by varying the rhythm of the breath. All these are repression. So, if a meditator is angry and starts thinking about something else, he is repressing his mind. Anger will not have a chance to be expressed. So, sooner or later, it will come back stronger than before, and we will no longer be able to repress it. It will be too strong, and its strength will completely subdue us. Anger will express itself in its entirety. In fact, people who never express their anger are the most dangerous. Observation is not even the expression of the anger, but it is letting anger express mentally, not physically. Observation means observing one's own thought, process, and feeling without expressing them, physically or psychologically. That is, imposing different thought on us. Buddhist monks are taught that when they find themselves sexually aroused, they have to create psychological image of old and physically horrible woman. This trick works. If monks spend some time visualizing physically horrible old woman, their sexual aroused will disappear. But this is repression. This means that after some time, the excitement will return stronger than before, and it will be more and more difficult for the monk to repress it. More and more time the monk will have to be spent visualizing physically horrible old woman. Repression is not the way of those who meditate, but it is not even the expression. The meditator lives in the middle. He does not repress, he does not express. People who express or repress, or rather, people who indulge and deny, live in the third chakra, Manipura. This is why there is no difference between monks and people who live in society. Both psychologically live in the third chakra. The monk denies and the people indulge. Indulging and denying are two sides of the same coin. Psychologically, there is no difference between indulging and denying. The speaker uses the term psychology in the true sense of the word, not what it means in our time. True psychology is taught to us by the Buddhas, Jesus, Gautama, Krishnamurti, Bhagwan, Shari, Rainish, etc. The psychology of psychologists is practically worthless, except for a small part which can help us grow spiritually. The speaker must say that never in any age has psychology been at such a low level. It has lost all contact with its origin and with its meaning, to the point that it is now difficult to define the term psychology. That is, to establish what psychology is and what it studies. This, although never in the past have there been so many psychological theories and so many books on psychology as today. Psychology is something referred to us as a new science. This is completely wrong. Psychology is perhaps the oldest science, and unfortunately, in its most essential aspect, it is a forgotten science in our time. When asked what psychology is, the answer should be: psychology is the study of the principles of laws and facts relating to the evolution of man. Being able to remain an unidentified observer with what goes on psychological and physically is not an easy thing. There are enlightened masters such as Jiddu Krishnamurti who start teaching from this point. From him There are no techniques, no surrender to a master, no being part of a group, no teaching, etc. There is only the observation of one's own mind and body. Thanks to this observation, true self-knowledge is reached. Undeniably right. But starting from observation is practically impossible. Jiddu Krishnamurti begins his teaching starting from the sixth chakra, Ayana. Enlightened masters such as Bhagwan Shri Rainish start from the psychological state where most people are, that is, from the third chakra, Manipura. Your life is mainly about indulging and denying. You are not yet aware of the other psychological stages of your mind. So start from here. If you want to psychologically grow from the third chakra to the sixth chakra, Vipassana is the technique for you. Learning to observe your breath will bring energy to the sixth chakra. The more energy you can bring to the sixth chakra, the more you are able to become an observer of your psychological and physical action. To be continued. Thank you for listening.